Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video, I want to give you some tips on how to quickly memorize the fretboard. So this is one of those things that guitar players are notorious for not doing. A guitar player could even play professionally and go a whole lifetime without actually knowing all the notes on the fretboard, because we can just take shapes and move them to different places, and we don't necessarily have to learn the names of the notes the way that, say, a piano player or a horn player might have to do. However, by not doing so, we severely limit ourselves, and we can't really find things quickly on the neck. It makes us depend more on charts, on tabs, on our ear. The ear is still number one, but having that fretboard knowledge is really going to help you move things all over the fretboard and not be afraid to go to those areas because you're not sure what's what. So with that being said, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to also tap that bell and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see in future lessons. That's where we're always looking for ideas. Also, head to guitartricks.com/fretboardhacks, where you could enter your email for a free beginner guide, which includes 10 worst mistakes beginners make, a dead simple practice plan, our famous beginner chord chart with the 14 essential first chords everyone should know, plus a lot more. All right, let's get into the lesson. So here's the thing, learning guitar, the 80-20 principle comes into play a lot. And what does that mean? 20% of what you learn is going to give you 80% of the results. So the 20%, I'm not too good at math, but basically the two strings you want to memorize first are the E and the A string. And the good news is by learning this low E string, you also know the high E string. They're both the E string. So if the third fret here is a G, the third fret here is a G. So in other words, by learning two strings, you're actually learning half of the strings. There's 6 strings. Learning 2 strings, you're really learning 3 strings. That's half the guitar. Cool. So the first step is obviously to know the open strings. Eddie, Ate Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. That's the way I learned it many years ago. I still think it's like the best acronym. I also learned Earn a Dollar, Go Buy Eggs, which is good, but eggs now are like $5 a dozen, especially if you get, those free range ones. So that doesn't really work out anymore. So Eddie, Ate Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. And you might want to also go backwards. So you could do Easter bunnies get drowsy after Easter. And that word drowsy can be replaced by another word that I'm not going to use. But, they work hard on Easter, so they're drowsy after. So going the other direction, Easter bunnies get drowsy after Easter. Eddie, Ate Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. All right, so you've got that. So now, another thing you want to keep in mind is the musical alphabet. The letters in the musical alphabet are just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if we look at the open A string, that would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's actually the A minor scale, just FYI. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, notice how I skipped frets sometimes, and I didn't skip frets the other time, because we actually have 12 notes. A sharp, which is also B flat, B, C, there's no B sharp or C flat, so that's why when I went A, B, C, there was no note in between, but there was a note between A and B, right? So A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F, see that? Between E and F, there's also no note in between. There's no E sharp or F flat. Then we have F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A. And those are our only 12 notes. And notice, 12 frets is an octave, right? So this is open A string, and then this is also A on the 12th fret. That's why we have 2 dots on the 12th fret. That marks our octave. Now, some guitars have 2 dots in other places, but generally you're always going to see 2 dots on the 12th fret, which means the octave. So we only have 12 notes. So you're probably like, well, what about all these other notes? They're just repeats. No matter what, you only have A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, where are we up to? C, I don't know where I started. Anyway, there's those 12 notes. So that being said, how do we memorize that E and that A string first? All right, well, we know that this is E, and we know that there's no E sharp, F flat. So we know that this is F right here, right? There's no sharp or flat in between E and F. So now we've got 7 notes. We know E, A, D, G, B, E, and we know F. And check it out, we know this is F. Boom. So now we just added 2 notes to the open strings. All right, now we have our fret markers, right? Pretty much every guitar, some classicals don't have side dots, but even most classicals now at least have side dots. And the dots that pretty much all guitars have in common is 3, 5, 7, and 9. Some fancy guitars like a Gibson Custom Shop, Black Beauty or something might have a first fret marker just because it looks cool to add more bling. But really, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? So we want to use those dots as our landmarks. Okay, so here's the cool thing. The 3, 5, and 7 spell the words gab, G-A-B. So now we have F and G-A-B. We can call that F-gab. So we got gab is just the 3, 5, 7 dots. And then if we go back another 2 frets, it's F-gab. And all those notes are separated by a fret. F, G, A, B. No half steps. A half step is 1 fret on guitar. We could call these whole steps or whole tones. F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B. G, A, B. Now, if we go to the next string, 3, 5, 7, that is C, D, E. C, D, E. So we have gab, and then we have C, D, E. Now, I had a student named Charlie who I went over this with, and so we just said Charlie does everything. So gab and Charlie does everything. Sometimes those things help you remember. What are those called? Mnemonic devices, right? Awesome. Now, let's notice a couple of things. If this is Charlie, we know that B is right next to C. There's nothing in between. So we can go, we have F gab, and then we have a B, and then Charlie does everything. So then if we just think of the note names, okay, E, F, G, A, B, and then we also have a B here, and then C, D, E, and check it out, this is an E, so next to the E is an F. There's our half step again, and this is a B, and next to the B is our C. So what I'm trying to say is if we look at G, A, B, and C, D, E, where are the half step notes in relation? Well, after the B, we have a C, and before this C, we have a B. So here's B, C, and here's B, C. Now, if we think about the nature of the fretboard, it's tuned in a way that every time you go up 5 frets, you can play the same note on the next string. So in other words, when I go up to this A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's also the open A string, right? So the same way, here's a B, here's a B, here's a C, here's a C. So once you start to understand the layout, you see how it's sort of like a typewriter, the way the strings are tuned. Anyway, gab, C, D, E, have a B here, have a C here, here's E, F, and this is F gab. Awesome. Let's keep moving on. Now, I like to look at the 9th fret as a separate place. The 9th fret's a separate place, and the 9th fret is surrounded by the 8th and the 10th fret. Now, 8 and 10, now we put our natural notes, meaning the notes that are not sharp or flat, surround the 9th fret. So C and D surround the 9th fret on the E string. That means between them is C sharp, D flat. And then on the next fret, F and G surround the 9th fret. And that means we have F sharp or G flat between them. Okay, then let's look at the 12th fret. The 12th fret is the same as all of the open strings, E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay, so now, tracking what we've done so far, we have E, A, D, G, B, E, we have F and F. Then we have gab and C, D, E. Charlie does everything. Before this C, we know we have a B. After this B, we know we have a C. Then we look at the 9th fret. We surround the 9th fret with C and D and with F and G. And then we go to the 12th fret and we have E, A, D, G, B, E. Then it's just a matter of in between all those notes is where we put our sharps and flats. So if this is an A, open A string, then this is an A sharp or a B flat. And then this is our B and our C. And then between C and D, Charlie does, we have a C sharp, D flat. Between D and E, does everything, we have a D sharp, E flat. And then we have our E and F, and then between F and G, we have an F sharp, G flat. Cool. Okay, now why am I saying that learning these 2 strings first is the best thing to do? Well, because check it out. Let's say I learn my F. I learn open chords in the key of C, and I got C, F, G. And then I know that that F is a movable shape. Well, let's say I want to move that F to a G sharp. Well, if I know G sharp is right here, now I could play a G sharp. Or let's say I learn I'm playing in the key of G, and I play a G, and then an A minor, and then a B minor. So I learned that B minor chord when I was learning open chords, and now I want to play a D sharp minor. Well, I just go to D sharp, play the same thing. So our most popular bar chords are built from the E string and the A string. Also, our most popular scales, like let's say I want to play E minor pentatonic. But now I want to play A minor pentatonic. Well, I just take that E and put it on an A. Or let's say C sharp. Here's a C sharp. Right? So knowing your E and your A string is going to give you immediate access to your basic movable chord shapes and movable scale shapes. And all chord shapes and scale shapes are movable, but we tend to look at the ones that start on the E and the A string as the most popular. They're very practical, more easy to play, and they give you a lot of ground on the fretboard because they stretch along 5 or 6 strings. Okay, then how do we learn the other strings? First step is understanding the octave formula. Now there's a few different octave formulas, but I want to share with you the most popular one. And that's over 2 down 2 or over 3 down 2. When we start with a note on the low E string, we go over 2 frets down 2 strings to find the same note 1 octave higher. So if this is an F, then this is an F. Then on the A string, it's the same formula. Let's use the note F again. Here's an F on the 8th fret of the A string, over 2 down 2 to get another F. So now I got 4 Fs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then from this F, from the D string, here's an F. I go over 3 down 2. The reason why it's different is because the B string is tuned in a different ratio than the other strings. The B string is a third away from a G, so we got to go an extra fret up to make it a fourth, because the other strings are tuned in fourths. E to A, E, F, G, A, that's a fourth. A to D, A, B, C, D, that's a fourth. D to G, D, E, F, G, that's a fourth. But G to B, G, A, B, that's a third. And then B back to E is a fourth, B, C, D, E. But because the B string is tuned differently than the rest, we have to compensate by going up an extra fret. So F, and then F, and then let's look at this F on the G string, 10th fret of the G string, again, over 3 down 2. So now we have all these Fs, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 6 Fs. So if someone says, find me an F on the B string and you're feeling lost, well, you can go all the way from the E string, F, 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 and then you find your F on the B string. Pretty cool, right? All right, so then using the octave formula, you can fill in the blanks on the 3 strings you don't know yet, which is the D, G, and B strings. Now, a quick way to start to memorize the other strings is keep in mind groups of letters. Think of them like a phone number. C, D, E, and then F, Gab. A local phone number, you have your 3 numbers and then your 4, right? So C, D, E, and then F, Gab. Now, follow me closely here. Both of those acronyms, every letter in the acronym is a whole step apart. What do I mean? C, whole step to D, whole step to E. Let's look at F, Gab. Let's go to this F. F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B. However, those 2 groups are always not separated by a half step. Think of it like a phone number, but we take out the dash. Those 2 groups are always right next to each other with no semitone in between. So what do I mean? If this is F, Gab, your C, D, E is right up 1 fret. C, D, E, and then we get our F, Gab again. Let's look at another string. So first fret on the B string is C. C, D, E. And then F, Gab is going to be up 1 fret. F, G, A, B. So if you can find any one note on a string, let's say I find my F. Let's say I use that octave formula, I find my F on the B string, and I see it's on the 6th fret of the B string, and now I'm like, well, what are all these other notes? Well, I know that C, D, E is right before the F, so this must be an E, this must be a D, and this must be a C, right? Let's go the other direction. If this is an F, F gab, F, G, A, B, right? F, G, A, B, whole steps. And then if that's a B, then C, D, E must be here. All right, so this is just a quick start guide to memorizing the fretboard. What I really recommend you do is download all the different apps, check out backing tracks that are just over a drone, for instance. Let's say you just have an F drone. Play all the Fs and focus on just one area of the fretboard at a time. So on these 3 frets, I got this F, and this F. So maybe you put on an F backing track. And then you just go F, F, and then you see this F, right? F, and then this F. And you can make little rhythms. Right? And then maybe you're going to expand, find other Fs. So we got this one, over here. Or maybe this one. Right? So you can just do single note jams, but having those reference points in your mind as a foundation is going to really help you just get started. So you'll have these mnemonic devices, you'll have these landmarks, right? Landmarks help us understand where we are. If you're in New York City and you look that way and you see the Empire State Building, the other direction you see the Freedom Tower, you know you're somewhere between South Manhattan and Midtown. You have an idea of where you are, and then you could narrow it down from there. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. There's a library of high-quality song lessons, step-by-step courses in guitar fundamentals, blues, country, rock, and so much more. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.